Difficult circumstances we find ourselves in. Better days were just on the horizon. And as quickly as they were due to arrive, they've been yet again whisked away. How wonderful it is to know of God's love and the blessings that Jesus brought to us on this world in the flesh. His teachings, so profound, they're still talked about to this day. We have a wonderful production for you, and we're sure you will enjoy it as much as we have putting it together. You will meet two characters. You will meet Cicero, a cold and calloused man who has nothing but desires to please the empire. And you will meet Septimius, a man, an intellectual of sorts, who's more concerned with things like details and understanding. But together, these two will try to do their very best to put together what they think they know of this man called Jesus. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy, and happy Easter.
Tonight, the air hangs heavy over the city, heavy and oppressive. Earlier in the darkness of the evening, Jesus of Nazareth was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane. He has been taken before Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, for trial. It's been a night like no other. Now, as a new day begins, the trial of the previous night continues. Jesus' fate is yet to be decided. Cicero and Septimius, two Roman soldiers, weren't at the garden when Jesus was arrested. They came on shift when Pilate made the order for Jesus to be flogged. It's part of their duty to carry out that sentence. These two soldiers are no strangers to arrests, trials, and executions. They're all too familiar with violence and bloodshed. Yet their encounter with Jesus is different than anything they have experienced before. They've heard about Jesus, but until now, their knowledge of him has been limited and not fully accurate. Now, after what they have witnessed, they are left asking questions unlike any that bothered them before.
So the charge is this, Septimius. Do reveal what's your wager to how long the blood will stain these stones.
Well, if there were less, I'd wager not long. Then again, nothing a good rain won't fix. It's not baked in the sun long, so the most you'll get out of me is 3 days.
3 days? Is that all you can say? From the paying of your debts to the length of time it takes you to go home, everything with you is 3 days. Surely you can guess numbers that lie beyond that. Or is 3 days as high as you can count?
Nothing may change in 3 days. A person who's been stoned won't last much longer than that. What can one accomplish in that timeline? My wager is 3, and it's always been and forever will be. You wish you could have it, but you can't. I think that bothers you more than you'll admit.
Well, I will mark you down for 3. But listen closely when you hear me speak. This was the same man whose follower cut off the ear of my nephew.
Really? It was your nephew who suffered injury? But not by this man directly.
No, I was informed it was his follower. Nevertheless, the same man. I'm not sure why that concerns me so. I never did like my nephew.
Cicero, you are a soul to behold, a true Roman. Not sure how a dog like you ever happened to fall into a uniform. You look Roman on the outside, but you're a dog, plain and simple.
You mind yourself, Septimius. Your family tree does not grow so deep with roots you can claim to be an old Roman. There are questions you could find you have to answer if one would only look. Watch your tongue. You'd be at a disadvantage if someone took you to task.
I heard it rumored that this same man healed your nephew immediately after the violence occurred. Seems a bit of a tale to call him violent by purpose, if we're speaking of the same man. You know, you can't deny you saw him from the moment they dragged him in here. Pilate himself did not want to condemn the man. He feared that Caiaphas would start a revolution if he didn't. He figured this man's followers were as equal as concerned if he did condemn him, but before a Roman hand had even laid eyes upon him, he was already beaten. This man suffered in violence. He was not the source of it.
Pilate was smart to give him to Herod to condemn. But that only complicated the issue, and that's why he's been in our charge today.
Well, Herod did not find fault, neither did Pilate claim any different. 11 years he's presided over this place, and he even went as far as to offer a known murderer, Barabbas. He offered Barabbas in an attempt to display a difference to calm the crowd.
Yes, 11 years, and we all know full well that Caesar himself has a watchful eye over Pilate. For his dealings in this region, he knows as clear as day that if there is any more bloodshed, the next blood spilled on the ground will be his. Barabbas is an insurrectionary disease, yet the crowd still voiced favor for his release.
Well, the crowd of Sanhedrin is the voice you speak of. Well, the followers of this Jesus were far from making a noticeable percentage of that. With cries to fall on Pilate's ears, hardly a fair choice to make.
Oh, mind your tongue and put away your thoughts, and I will forget you said that. Abinadar himself came with instructions from Pilate to make the punishment severe, and was clear not to have him killed. Those were our orders. Did we not carry them out to the letter of the law?
And need I remind you, Cicero, that we are the same rank, and yes, I only have 8 days service longer than you, but at a hearing, that would be enough to establish that I am your superior. So indulge me. I was across from him and could see something in his eyes, something different about this man compared to all the others who came to this courtyard to suffer a carried sentence.
Always the rank with you. Every time I stretch to make you into a better Roman, you always bring up rank. Now, I have little in the way of love for my nephew, and even less of any feeling for this man. Why does it concern you so? Always the same. You should look to these words and return course.
My mind is more fixed on reason.
I need a break from you. It'll do more good for the mind not to hear your voice for a moment. The rain doesn't seem to be in the forecast, so you better get someone to clean up that mess before Abinadar gets back. No need to give more cause to loosen yet more favor today. Set task to purpose and see it gets done.
About 20 minutes pass.
We are here, and if it please you, we wish to...
Who are you, and how did you get in here?
A guard let us in. We were sent for. He did not tell us where to go or for what purpose. Have you seen my son? Where is he? What do you know of him?
Son is not here. Take these things. There's some rags provided for you as a gift from Rome. I will have you clean this area and make haste. You are not to be here at this hour. Make the area presentable and take your rags with you as you leave.
The two Marys clean the paving stones, not just with rags, but also with their tears and sorrow. When they are done, they make their way to the outer praetorium, where Pilate is to present Jesus to the crowd once more. Pilate is struck at the sight of what remains of the man who was before him only hours ago.
Behold the man. What shall I do with him? Look at him. Isn't this enough? Shall I crucify your king? Speak to me. I have the power to crucify you or to set you free. It's you who want to crucify him, not I. Look, you do it. I'm innocent of this man's blood. Abinator, do as you wish.
Before the next events unfold, keep this in your mind and take it to heart. Jesus of Nazareth was approximately 30 years of age at the time of his death, by most scholars' accounts. In the last few hours, Jesus had been considerably weakened prior to being crucified. His physical and mental fatigue was excruciating. Several factors had contributed to exacerbated blood loss. Sweating tears of blood in the Garden of Gethsemane as he was in agony of soul about the events he knew were going to take place. He'd experienced a particularly furious flogging, and then a crown of thorns was placed on his head that some speculate pierced bone as it was pressed into place. Next, Jesus is ordered to carry his own cross. As he embraced that next step on the way to Calvary, this is where he stumbled. Think with me for a moment and close your eyes from this time and go back to the garden the night before, then to the time and the day that's passed with the full trial and flogging. During that time, Jesus has not consumed any water. The closest he came to water was that which was in the bowl that was presented to Pilate when he washed his hands of responsibility. When Jesus fell beneath the load of the cross he carried, Simon of Cyrene was forced to carry the cross of Jesus. When they arrived at the place of the skull, or Golgotha, they offered Jesus wine mixed with gall or myrrh, yet he refused it. Why would a man dying of thirst ever refuse such an offer? A mixture of wine and gall was commonly given to criminals before their execution in order to ease some of their suffering. Jesus had it placed on his lips, yet he refused to drink it. From the time Jesus was placed with his hands and feet nailed to the cross, the entire timeline is approximately about 6 hours until his death. The long torture the night before, the unmeasurable total loss of blood, and his physically beaten body combined with the mental agony and the shock of the crucifixion itself. Yet, he still was caring enough to let his soul know that today he too would be with him in paradise. Just before his final breath, Jesus looked to heaven and said, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and he gave up his spirit. To check that Jesus was really dead, a soldier pierced his side with a spear, bringing a sudden flow of blood and water. The scriptures say, "None of his bones will be broken," and so it was. The scripture also states, "They will look on the one they have pierced." Today, you and I have also taken a look at the one pierced. Like Cicero and Septimius, maybe we're asking questions we haven't thought about before. Why did Jesus allow these things to happen to him? What was the purpose of it all? What does he mean when he says, "It is finished"? What was finished? What happened next? Well, Sunday is another story altogether.